I remember getting out of the plane, hitting a wall. It was just of humidity. It was so crazy because I got there in September, I think is what it was. And so it was like just right at the end of summer, but it was still like about as hot as it could get in Hong Kong. And it gets up to like, like 100, 110, which doesn't sound like really that bad, but then you add like 100% humidity to it. And it just gets you so hard. Cause like I'm from Utah where it's just, dry as a bone, there's just like, there's no humidity here. And I get there and I just thought I was gonna die. Like I just started, I get out of the plane and I just started sweating. I didn't do anything and I just sweat. And I was like, this is so gross. My shirt would stick to me and I was in a suit and like all these things. And I remember going to meet my mission president outside of the airport, and he was native Chinese and his name was President Chan. He's like super funny too, is because he was chief inspector of police. And when I read that in the letter in my call, I was like, oh dang, he's gonna be so crazy. I thought like Rush Hour 2, that movie, I don't know if you've seen it. But I was like, this is gonna be intimidating. Like I'm gonna have like a chief inspector of police be my mission president. I go there and he's just like the cutest, sweetest little man. But just like complete spiritual powerhouse. He's so cool. But I remember his English, he had a really thick accent. It was actually, his English wasn't bad, but he just like, he had a really good Chinese accent. And I remember we got to the mission home, we did like orientations and things like that. They were teaching us what to do. And I was just like, so like amazed at, being in Hong Kong, number one. Two, I'm finally out of the MTC. I'm out of that little bubble. I'm so excited. We're finally in the mission field. I'm so pumped, but just so sweaty and hot because of, it's, so hot and humid. It's just ridiculous. But, yeah, it was, I remember hoping so bad that I was going to get a native companion because I wanted my Chinese to be really, really good. And I was like, I'm going to get a Chinese companion. He's going to help me so much with my language. I was like so excited, but obviously I hadn't gotten my trainer yet. And so the next day we stayed the night in the mission home, and the next day they gave us our trainer. And I did get my trainer was a native Chinese, and his name was Elder Lau, and he was a hoot. He was so funny. My first day he actually fooled me that his English was so good. I was like, oh yeah, like my native companion, he speaks English. I am so excited for this. But I remember like our first meal, it's, we go out for lunch and it's 1,000,000 degrees outside, super humid, and he takes me and we went with a couple of missionaries to go get noodles. And the noodles was like just a big bowl of just boiling hot noodles with soup in it. And I was sweating so bad. I was like, oh no, this is awful. I'm eating with chopsticks, which is like, I knew how to eat with chopsticks, but like eating soup with noodles was pretty new. And I was like, Elder Lau, can I get some water? He goes, you want water? I was like, yeah, I do. He goes, okay. So he asked the waiter to bring us some water, and I was like, okay, I'm so excited for this water. And the water comes out, and it's in this little tiny cup. I was like, that is not nearly enough water. I was like, what is this country coming to right now? And I go to drink, I grab the cup, and it was just boiling hot again. And I was like, what is wrong with this country? Like, the weather is so hot, the soup is super hot, and now they're giving me boiling hot water to drink. I was like, super like I thought I literally thought I was gonna die, and the day was only about to get honestly it was about to get worse for me. Because my dad, he thinks he's pretty funny. When I packed for my mission, he gave me a bunch of broken suitcases. The wheels were broken, handles were broken. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, have cars, they'll take you to your apartments. Like, he was totally wrong. And so after we eat lunch, we're like taking my stuff up to my apartment, and we lived in this place called Guntong. And we get there, we go from a place called Kowloon Tong, we take the subway over to Guntong, which is like, we go from like pretty much center of Hong Kong to the farthest east. You can not farthest, but pretty close. And we get off the train, and I'm already sweating super bad. I'm dragging this suitcase, broken wheels, in a shirt, just sweating my guts out. And we go, and I find out that our apartment is up like this giant hill. Like, so we start going up a hill. We have to walk probably I felt like it was like a mile and a half, but just up a hill the whole time. And then right before we get to the apartment, there's a staircase. Like, no joke. Like, I think it was like 70 stairs. that we had to just lug these, these 50-pound suitcases up. And my companion, like, bless his heart, is a little Chinese guy, and I'm not like small. I'm like, how is he going to do this if I'm dying? Like, he's not sweating as bad. I think it's just because Asians don't sweat nearly as much as we do. But it's like, at the same time, like, I've seen him struggling carrying this thing because the bag probably weighs almost as much as he does. And like, we were just lugging it up, and it was so hot. And I just remember it was just so, like, we finally got to the apartment. I was just drenched, and it wasn't raining. I was just like, this is ridiculous. And I questioned at that moment. I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I supposed to serve this mission? It's day one in the field, and I'm already just dying right now. Like, I'm so hot. Like, I don't know if this is going to happen. And, luckily, my trainer, he took care of me. He's a great trainer. And it was fun to figure out in the next couple of days, my first week, that he fooled me on my first day that his English was really good. His English was better than my Chinese, but my Chinese was, I'd been learning in the MTC for 3 months, and it's like, but at the same time, we couldn't communicate. It was hilarious. He would help try to plan for lessons, and he'd try to have me tell me what he wanted me to say. But I was like, what are you talking about, man? I cannot understand what you're saying. And I remember just being so confused all the time, my first week. And luckily, we in Hong Kong, because apartments are so expensive, you have missionaries will share apartments. You usually have 4, I think, to 6 missionaries in an apartment, but I think they're cutting all the 6 ones down to 4 now. But luckily, there were missionaries that spoke a lot better Chinese than I did and spoke English, would help mediate for us, tell me what was going on and stuff like that. It was really fun, but difficult at the same time. But yeah, the first week was a real doozy. It threw me off. It threw me off real hard. Wondering if I could actually do this. It was the hardest week. I mean, besides the MTCs, the hardest week of my mission for sure, because I was acclimating to temperature, to culture, to food, to all these things. But it was really cool.